You know, one of the big conversations we have often is about schools. The Chicago public school system is facing an enrollment crisis. They have 150 buildings that are half empty. The teachers' union leaders believe the city's progressive policies will attract families seeking refuge from the Trump administration. The interesting thing is that there are people with pretty strong political opinions, but the strongest opinion for most adults has to do with their children. They just want their kids to learn. This is Republican parents and Democrat parents that in the end, the politics that are outside of the schools, they don't want inside of the schools. That parents will have differing political opinions and they'll debate them, but what they want is their children to be able to read and write. I bring this up because we have this conversation about about enrollment being down in Arizona schools, and they're blaming it on the ESA program or the voucher program and the lack of funding. They spend a ton of money in Chicago schools. They spend a lot more money than we spend, and they're having the same problem. Funny thing is, they've got a lot of the same policies that are driving people away. It isn't about your politics. It's about lack of performance. I have friends that I grew up with that turned out to be very liberal. And I have one particular friend, his name is Seth. We laugh about it all the time. He was one of my very first friends when I moved to Southwest Florida. We lived in the same neighborhood for years. We've remained very close friends all these years later. We've been friends for 45 plus years. We live in different parts of the country. He still lives in Florida. Obviously, I've been here for 30 years. We could not be further apart politically on so many issues. We joke about breathing the same air. We went to the same schools. We didn't talk politics. We learned to read. We just came to different conclusions. Smart guy, he runs a business. Good father, great family man. All the things you'd want in somebody, just happens to be liberal. We have different political views. But we can read. We just come to different conclusions on many issues. We agree on the problems. We just don't agree on the solutions. And what we're seeing with indoctrination, I'll give you just a couple of examples locally before we dive into any more of these stories. The Phoenix Union High School District and its leadership on the board refused to allow police officers on their campuses. As a matter of fact, in a tirade that was laced with the F-bomb at least once, there were never going to be effing police officers, or there were never going to effing be police officers, however it was said, on their campuses. Most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. That police make it more dangerous, and then we're going to come up with our own security plan that has nothing to do with the police. Ludicrous. That's a political agenda. And people don't want to stand for it. I have big disagreements with this Scottsdale. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give credit to the superintendent of the Scottsdale Unified School District. He came on the show. He wanted to talk about it. I think that's a step in the right direction. I still don't agree that the curriculum is one-sided. They say that it opens a discussion, but then give both sides in the textbook. That's just my disagreement. The discussion with students is always a good thing. Their performance in Scottsdale, however, when you look at their ability to read and perform math skills, is much higher than other school districts. I love the example of what's happening in the East Valley. I've mentioned before being friends with board members and I think the world of Chad Wilson, Dr. Chad Wilson, who is the superintendent of EVIT, the East Valley Institute of Technology. It's a CTED, or a trade school, Career Technical Education District. EVIT serves the public schools in the East Valley. EVIT has increased in the last 6 years from about 3,500 students to over 8,000. Over 8,000. Because kids are seeing a pathway to a career, and so are their parents, and they're finding value in it. So these kids, instead of spending all day in a traditional campus, they do their core work at their public schools, and then they get transportation to EVIT's campus where they're learning a skill. Now, a lot of these kids go to college. Most of them go on to college, but they're taking with them a skill set. And their graduation rate is through the roof because these kids are now connecting the need to read and write and perform math skills to the careers that they want to pursue. Interesting, when you look at Mesa Public Schools in the East Valley, hemorrhaging enrollment. So how is it the CTEDs are thriving, but public schools are falling off? Funding's an issue at EVIT. Funding's an issue everywhere for schools. Yet the performance is through the roof. It can be done. It's the policy. It is parents walking away because they don't feel like they're being heard. They are the customer. More importantly, they're the parent. Yes, they're the taxpayer. They pay the salaries and they build the buildings. They do all of that. But more importantly, their kids have a very short amount of time, and it goes by so quickly. One day they're in kindergarten, the next day they're going to high school, the next day they're leaving and going away to college. They have those very short years to learn what they need to teach them for the rest of their lives. What they learn in that classroom in elementary school, by the time they're in third grade, up to third grade, they learn to read. After third grade, they read to learn. They carry that skill for the rest of their lives. No one stops learning. And if the parents don't feel they're getting that skill set, they're going to look for other options. The public school system in this country is falling apart at the seams. They can blame it on all these other things, but it's the way they're doing things that are the issue. And if they don't go back to the basics, if they don't show results, in this day and age where the technology is the way it is, the parents will find other ways to educate their kids. They want what's best for their children. It's not about politics.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Tap to watch and listen to the new season of Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast. You can also click the button in the middle to subscribe.